Hey everyone, it's Ariel and welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with another haircut tutorial. So if you've been following my channel for a while, you might already know that I've been trying to grow out my hair for quite a while, probably almost a year at this point or more. And so even though I'm trying to grow it out and grow it long, I still need to make sure I'm trimming off any dead ends and keeping it as healthy as it can be while I grow it out to be long eventually one day. So yeah, today I'm going to be trimming my ends. I just want to do like the minimum amount of hair off possible, but I have been noticing that I have some ends that are kind of crying for help. As you can see, they are just a little bit straggly and they need to be trimmed. So we are going to cut those off today and just get my hair back to being healthy so that I can continue growing it out and I know that I'm not dragging any dead ends along with me. So before we get into the video, if this is your first time here, please make sure you subscribe so you can keep up on future videos, and also if you are enjoying this video at any point, give it a big thumbs up and also comment down below. Now let's get into it. So the first thing I always like to do is just brush through my hair just to make sure there are no tangles before I start doing any cutting. That feels good. And then whenever I am cutting my hair or doing any haircut, I always want to make sure that I have it parted where I normally part. So if you're going to do this at home and you normally part your hair in the middle, then part your hair in the middle before you do your haircut, and if you part on the side, part on the side. You get the drill. I already previously had parted my hair where I kind of want it to stay. It does move around a little bit, but this is kind of like where I want it to be for the most part. So I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit. Just make sure I have a nice clean parted line. And so when you're doing this, if you have a side part like me, what I do is start from the side and angle it towards the middle of your head. And then you'll get to a point where your head starts to tilt, basically where the very top of your head is. You can do that by putting a comb on and seeing where it rocks. And in my case, it's about here. And then from there, I can section down to the top of my ear, sort of like that. So I'm basically gonna have two sections in the front on each side, and then one big section in the back. So these front sections I'm just gonna clip away. Use this one. I'm just using my favorite claw clips for this. Same thing on this side, just parted it all the way from the top of my head down to around the top of my ear. Take another claw clip. All the products will be linked in the description as always if you guys are interested in anything. So now I have these two front sections clipped away, and I'm gonna start in the back. That's what we always do. Ouch. Try not to comb your earrings out. I'm gonna use my fingers to, these are kind of in my way. I feel like I always section the front away like this, and then I end up realizing that I can't see anything. So I'm actually gonna clip, I'm actually gonna clip them up like this. I don't really like to do this when my hair's straight because pretty much guaranteed a crease, but that is okay. Okay, now I can actually see what I'm doing at the back here. So I'm gonna turn around so you guys can see what I'm doing. So what I'm gonna do is take a section around kind of where my earlobe is on each side, and I'm gonna connect those in the middle to make my first section. And then I'm gonna clip the rest of this away, and we're going to start cutting this first. Now we have this tiny little section at the back that is going to be our guide, and that is where we're going to start cutting. So what I'm going to do first is split this in the middle like this so that I end up with two pieces. I feel like it's very dark in here, is it? I just feel like it's kind of hard to see. Alright, so split this in the middle, and then we're going to work like this by pulling this hair to the front. Grab your scissors. These are my professional shears, and I don't think I can link these exact ones for you guys, but I will link some similar ones in the description. I do also have a video on some scissors that you can buy if you need some, because I don't want you using kitchen scissors, okay? So get yourself some professional scissors before you start doing this. And also, not a bad idea to grab a cape. I just couldn't find mine. Normally I would wear one so I don't get covered in hair, but we're just gonna go without one today. So first step is to pull these pieces down. Now kind of get an idea of how much hair you want to take off. And for me, if you look, I basically just want to get rid of that stuff. So just the stuff that's kind of like straggly, it's just not looking very good. Sorry, I'm like screaming into the mic now, but yeah, like you can kind of see those, oh, let me turn this up. You can kind of see where it starts to just split and it just doesn't look very good. It looks kind of dead and just straggly. So I just want to basically straighten that up so I get that nice clean line back and I get rid of those dead ends. So I'm gonna start on one side. Now you want to make sure your head is straight for this. I'm gonna be looking that way because that's where my mirror is. So straight down, look straight ahead, make sure your body and head are aligned. And cut off those dead ends. So now look at that. We didn't take off much hair at all, but look at how much better that looks. Now we basically want to do that same thing on this side. Look at the difference. Crazy, right? So again, making sure my head is straight and just pulling this straight down. And then once both pieces are cut, I like to pull them both down and just make sure that they are lining up. Since this is our guide, this is the most important piece because this is what we're going to be using for the rest of the layers that we pull down. So we have to make sure this first section is even and this side is just a touch too long. So just take a bit more. And I'm actually going to do a little bit by hand here too. Freehand. These are the results of the first section. Nice clean line. Now we can move on to the next section. So I'm just going to pull down another section and basically do that same thing. So now for the next section, I'm going to take it at the top of my ear. So the first section I did around the bottom of my ear. Now I'm going to go to the top, connect those two fingers at the back, and clip that away. Now again, split this in the middle, look straight ahead. Looks like I'm not looking straight ahead, but I am in the mirror. Pull straight down. And now here you can see the guide underneath, just poking out there. And that is the guide that I'm gonna use to match up this new section that I just took down, which is here. So right now I'm trying to blend this with this length right here. And I never move my fingers until it's completely cut. So that's the result from the second section. Look at how much better that line looks, you guys. You can see those ones sticking out right here. So I'm just gonna blend that. Do the same thing on this side, straight ahead. There we go. Look how much better. I just love the feeling of fresh ends. There's nothing like it. So now to make sure, before we go any further, that we have the back lining up, I like to put my comb this way. So with the points facing up, stick it underneath the back here, and then put my hand over it, pulling it straight out. So without moving your fingers, twist it over to one side. And this is where you can see if you missed any hair. So you can see like right here, this is where, because I pulled the hairs forward, I created a little bit of an over direction, meaning that the hairs from the back were just stretching a little bit farther to reach the front. So I didn't cut as much off the back. So That's what these pieces are here, and I'm just gonna trim them by pointing into them like this to match up with the rest of those lengths that you can see. And the reason I'm point cutting is just because it will blend easier than if I just went and did it blunt, because now it's just a bit of a softer edge. But that looks good, nice and even. So we're just gonna basically continue that same thing. I do have layers, so I'm thinking I can do this in one more section, and then I will probably trim up my layers a little bit as well. So just doing that same thing one more time. So splitting in the middle, pulling it forward, combing this all down, make sure you're looking straight ahead, and then just trim to match up to that guide right there. That's what we're looking like. Now, same thing on this side. You can see those hairs just sticking out here. Just want to match it up to the rest. All right, so now we have the whole back section done. This is what we are looking like. Nice clean ends. It doesn't look dead anymore. It looks like a proper cut. Now we just have to blend the front pieces with the back. For this, I'm actually going to turn my head. So I'm just gonna look this way, making sure I can still see the mirror, of course, but calm this down. And there you can see what I need to cut. Trim that. I'm gonna point into this a little bit just to soften it. So now I'm gonna comb it. Instead of combing it straight down, I'm combing it kind of back. I'm going to trim any hairs free-handedly that I see that aren't quite lining up still. Alright, so I think that is looking good. You can see that nice clean line. Woo. Please be more careful than I'm being right now with these scissors. But you can see that clean line. It looks pretty good to me. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So now I will be looking that way. Straight down first. Blend with that piece. Now you can comb straight out. Okay, so now I'm gonna do that back trick again, just to make sure everything's even. Straight out. That looks pretty good. A little bit in the middle there. All right, making progress. So now I'm trying to decide if I want to trim my layers or not. I think I will, just to keep them healthy. I'm sure they need a trim just as bad as my ends, so I am gonna trim my layers. Basically what I'm gonna do is same sectioning method that I did to cut the perimeter of my hair. Flip them like this. So now to trim the layers, I'm going to take a section up here, just a thin section, not much at all, and I'm going to be combing this up, down so you can see. So straight up, and there you can see those ends that need to go. I'm just going to trim them like this, kind of dust them, point cut, yeah. That looks way better. So now I can take vertical sections, so about 1 inch in width. Take a section all the way down, pull it up kind of diagonally, and then trim off any dead stuff. So this is the piece that I just cut, and then this is the rest of the layers that I already have. So I'm just gonna point cut all the way through give that a nice tiny little trim. So I'm just gonna do that. I'm kind of gonna go in like a pie sectioning method. So I'm just pulling those vertical sections up and back till I get to those ends. So those ends that need to be cut, and there's my guide. And just trim the dead stuff. Like I said, I'm trying to grow out my hair, and the layers are part of that. I actually don't think I want layers anymore, at least for now. So this is like the tiniest amount of hair coming off, but I'm not trying to lose length. I'm just trying to clean the ends and get rid of any unhealthy stuff while still blending it together and helping it grow longer. But it honestly feels so much better. It's crazy. I say this every time, but it's crazy how big of a difference even the tiniest trim can make. And I know it seems like backwards to trim your hair when you're trying to grow it long, but it's seriously crucial. Trust me. You always want to make sure you're trimming your ends at least a few times a year. I've been trying to do mine like, I would say once every 3 or 4 months, which is kind of on like the low end. I probably could do it more, but I also just go with whatever I feel like my hair needs. So I kind of have felt like my hair's been okay until just the last few times I straightened it. And when it's straight, you can really see like all of the kind of more straggly ends. So I was like, you know what? I think it's time for a haircut. But if you're growing out your hair, I would say like once every 3 months. Is that 12 weeks? 4, 8, 12. Yeah. So once every 12 weeks or 3 months. Same thing. But I feel like that's a good like kind of goal line to go for, or like timeline, to make sure that your hair is just staying healthy even though you are growing it out. So now I'm gonna do the same thing with the sides and just blend those side layers into the back layers that I just cut. Same exact technique. The only thing is, what I do first is take a section from the back and then take a horizontal section from the side that I just took down, comb it up, and then that's how I can make a guide for the sides. So if it'll focus. So that is the guide that I cut from the back, and then these are the front layers that clearly need a bit of a trim. So I'm just gonna again point cut just those straggly ends off, and that looks better. And then from here I can do the same method that I did in the back, which is kind of vertical sections all the way down, pull them back, and then trim any straggly pieces. But I'm just gonna keep doing that on the side. That feels so much better. Okay, I'm just gonna do that same thing on this side, and then I'll show you guys how I trim the bangs. Alright, so I'm pretty sure the layers are done. The only thing I can do from here is take a section from each side and just make sure they line up when I pull them straight up. Alright, bring you guys back down, closer. Okay, we're up close and personal for the bangs now. So, as I said earlier, I have a side part. That's pretty much where I want my part to be. So what I'm going to do to trim these pieces, so the same thing goes for these. I don't really want them to be shorter. I just want to get rid of any dead stuff that might be hanging around here. and kind of blend them with the rest of my hair down here. So what I'm gonna do is just comb like 1.5 inches of this forward. And then I'm gonna take a little bit from each side of the part and comb that down all the way to those ends. Now this is where you can really see. That is just screaming for help. Look at that. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing I've been doing. So point cut and just get rid of that dead stuff. Like that. Much better. So now I can comb my part back to normal. And now basically what that did is just made a guide on each side for me to blend the rest of the hairs down. Hopefully that makes sense. A little tip with this is to always start on the side with less hair. So I'm gonna do that. This is the side with less hair. And I'm gonna basically just take this hair in the front here and comb it forward towards my face. I'm gonna angle my fingers sort of the same angle that I want to be cutting in. And I'm gonna pull down until my guide pops out right there. And that is where I want to blend the hairs with. So I'm actually gonna slide cut this. And I'll show you another way to do it if you don't feel comfortable with that. If you pull it kind of in front of your face, you can see here's the guide. And this is what I want to clean up. So I'm basically just gonna point in, point those hairs off until I have a blended look right up to that guide. And then comb through, looking pretty good. I think I can do that again. Now I'm going to do that down here. Same thing applies down here. And basically just keep doing that all the way down until I get to the ends. And then when you do get to the ends, you want to be kind of careful, because if you pull all this hair forward, you'll see that there's kind of a point here. And you don't want to cut past that point, because that's basically where your ends start, and we're not trying to cut the ends, we're just trying to blend the like face framing layers or bangs into the ends, not cut the ends any more than we already did. So that point is basically, we can see that as our stopping line. So I don't want to cut past that little point. If I do, I could end up with like a little hole here. It just can really mess with the whole rest of the haircut. So really try to remember that, not to go past that point. So again, right here. So I'm just gonna cut right in front of it. Keep blending. You should eventually end up with a nice face framing layer like that. And then I do also like to go in and kind of like soften any pieces that seem to be too heavy to me. So like this section right here, I feel like the length is good, but it's a little bit thick for my liking. So I'm gonna actually pull that out and I'm gonna point right into that. So this part is kind of scary, you have to be pretty careful here, but I'm gonna point right into it. So basically I'm not changing the length, I'm more just changing the thickness, and I'm kind of debulking this piece without changing the length. So it should lay just a little bit softer. I'm gonna do that with this one as well. Okay, so now I think we've got our face framing layers cleaned up good, at least on this side. So you can see it all blends nicely. Ends look nice now. They're not like that. So I'm just gonna do that same thing on this side. Okay, you guys, I think that is pretty much it. I think I've gotten all the ends, I've trimmed the layers, I've trimmed the bangs, face frame. Yeah, I think we are done here. It feels so much better. It feels just cleaned up, healthier. It's crazy what a big difference that can make. It really is. Okay guys, so this is the finished look. This is how I just like trim the tiniest amount off of my hair just to get it back to good health so that I can continue growing it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you found it helpful in some way. I know I do have a few haircut tutorials on my channel already, but I know you guys usually enjoy them, so I needed a haircut and figured I would just film it for you guys. And yeah, hopefully you got something out of it. If not, hopefully you at least enjoyed it. If you did enjoy the video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and also comment down below and make sure you subscribe if you are not already. I will also leave everything I used today linked in the description, just in case you are interested in checking any of these things out. And remember, if you are gonna try this at home, do not use kitchen scissors. Yeah, just do not use kitchen scissors. Watch my video with the scissor recommendations so that you can give yourself a proper haircut and yeah, not have to worry about the risk of using kitchen scissors on your hair. So that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.